All right, it is 8 o'clock on the dot, and we are back. Shalom, Israel. Shout out to those that are watching on the internet or will be watching in the future. Shout out to those that are in class. The water for showing up. We're coming off of a great series of classes. It's going to be kind of going to the same vein, but we're not going to focus so much on the marriage aspect of it, but just the overall concept of what it is that the elders have been bringing out scripture-wise. What is the mentality that they're bringing out? Or the pretty much the lifestyle choice, the lifestyle choice that we are saying to the Most High that we want to live by showing up every day and reading the scriptures and trying to get closer and closer to Him. With that being said, Shabbat Shalom to all those that are watching again. Shout out to SOW, right? SOW, Stream of Wisdom, in Rochester, Virginia, and Houston. And all those that are watching California, Atlanta, shout out to Cabo Cab, Guatemala, of course. Shalom, shalom, sis. Yeah, with that, any questions, anything before we get started? Anything, y'all? Anything you want to bring up?
Nah, no.
Cool. Then let's get it going. Yes, sir. What you got?
What's the name of the class?
I was going to read out right now.
Okay.
Nah, it's cool. The title of the class is called Accepting the Pressure of a Servant. Accepting the Pressure of a Servant. Now, we're going to get to the definitions. If y'all can get them, or whoever's over here can get them before I bring it up. We're going to be looking for pressure and servant. Pressure is going to be definition number 4, and servant, I want to say it's number 9, but let me double check. And I'll tell you when to pull the actual definition in a second, but it's going to be number 9 for servant. Yeah, going back to recapping the point and the reason why I think this class is necessary at this particular point in this time period is kind of identifying, we've been harping on marriage specifically. And that is an aspect of this quote-unquote servitude that we're going to talk about today. But what it is truly is making your life force and your energy and putting your energy into something that's greater than you. And it sounds good when you talk about it, making your life above yourself and having a bigger purpose. And that sounds good on paper, but when applying it, that's where the hardship, that's when the pressure kicks in. So that's what we're going to kind of drive today when we get this class going. To start, give me John 6. St. John 6 and verse 44. St. John 6 verse 44. I'm not going to be able to type all this stuff. Yes, sir. Read that.
St. John chapter 6 verse 44.
1 second. Let everybody get it. Yeah. You want to clear all this out, man? All right. Read that, sir.
St. John chapter 6 verse 44. No man can come to me except the Father which have sent me draw him.
That's a very important concept because a lot of people that say they want Christ or that do the necessary actions to try to show themselves approved, to try to show the Most High that I want to serve you, that is by divine interference. Meaning your natural carnal self, without the Most High influencing you, will be like everybody else in the streets, everybody else in the world. So the Most High has to send a spirit on you in particular, or compel you, motivate you, inspire you. Something has to be sent. For all of a sudden you want to sit here and go to class 3 times a week. So all of a sudden you want to take the Bible home with you and actually read it for yourself. For all of a sudden you want to start working on the issues in yourself, confessing the issues, putting yourself around people who are going to bring those issues out and constantly correct and recorrect you. That has to be by divine interference or divine inspiration, so to speak. So read that again from the top.
St. John chapter 6 verse 44. No man can come to me except the Father which hath sent me draw him.
So the Most High has to draw us to Christ. He has to send that spirit onto us. Now, luckily for us, the Most High has obviously sent that spirit on every last one of us that are in here or that are watching. He's obviously sent some type of awareness to want to believe in the Most High. Because there's many people that don't even believe there is a God. Or they don't believe that there's someone who is controlling at least some facet of their life. Now the goal, after this class, just to give more clarity, to bring out is the Most High is controlling everything in your life. But at least having acknowledgement that He's directing some parts of your life is inspiration given. All right, jump to verse 64 now.
St. John chapter 6, verse 64.
Hey, Berto, turn that down now. It's getting already up there. You know what I mean? 72.
St. John chapter 6, verse 64. But there are some of you that believe not.
Now, how could we go from being inspired to want to learn the Most High, want to be engaged in a lifestyle that's more disciplined than the rest? Well, I don't even say that because that's not where everybody wants to be. They want to at least get acknowledged by God. We'll get to the disciplines part later. At least to be acknowledged by the Most High, to be protected by the Most High, to be guided by the Most High. How do we go from that to now we're being considered as unbelievers? What does that even mean? How are those who know Christ and who are drawn to Christ still considered unbelievers? Read on.
For Yahushua knew from the beginning who they were that believed not.
He says, from the beginning, the Most High knows who's going to get this word, who's going to get this inspiration, and still not fully believe. Read.
And who should betray him.
And even worse, end up as Judas, who would betray him to his face. But how does it get to this point? Give me the definition of pressure, point 4.
Pressure.
Give me the definition of pressure, point 4.
Pressure, point 4 of Webster's 1828. A constraining force or impulse.
Pressure is a constraining force or impulse, read on,
that which urges or compels the intellectual or moral faculties.
So there is a force. Remember, we talked about that drawing force that the Most High said. There is a force, an invisible force, that will keep compelling you, compelling your intellectual or your moral faculties, meaning test what you believe is right and wrong. Test the bounds of your quote-unquote righteousness. That's what that means. I mean, there are situations, scenarios, or environments which the Most High will put you in to test your morality. Read on.
It says, as the pressure of motives on the mind or of fear on the conscience.
And it's developed or it's backed by fear of upsetting the Most High, which is still not normal, or that's not given to everybody. To prove that, give me Ecclesiastes 14. Oh, Ecclesiastes 1 and verse 14, just to prove that concept. Yes, sir. Ecclesiastes and Apocrypha. It's a side scripture, but it just goes to show even having a fear of the Most High or a natural concern of how the Most High looks at you is given to you at birth and is chosen. Ecclesiastes 1 and verse 14.
God, Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha chapter 1 verse 14. To fear the Lord is the beginning of wisdom.
Is it to fear the Lord is the beginning of acquiring wisdom. You want to be wise in the Most High, you want to acquire more what's in this book, you have to fear the Most High. All right? As simple as that. You have to fear how he looks at you. You have to fear his perspective on your life. That has to be acknowledged or reverenced. Read on.
And it was created with the faithful in the womb.
So what the scripture is saying is, the faithful in the womb were given some type of fear. When they would hear the word, there'd be some type of acknowledgement. There is a God here. I don't know, I might not have all the information on who this being is or why I feel like somebody's watching me, but there's something here that's judging my actions. That starts doing what? Starts creating pressure on your moral faculties. Because now, you know you can't just act every old type of way without consequences. A lot of people need laws in place or governmental laws in place to control how they act. But some people understand I can't act a certain way, not because the law says no, but because there's a power that wouldn't agree with my actions. That is a faithful spirit that's given to you at birth. So now let's get back into that pressure pressure definition one more time. And then someone else give me Isaiah 44 and verse 21.
Pressure. Definition 4.
Yes.
A constraining force or impulse. That which urges or compels the intellectual or moral faculties. As the pressure of motives on the mind.
So, the question we posed before we went to this verse was how can we get the inspiration, get this acknowledgement or fear that there's a God, and acknowledgement that my life is being watched and monitored, to all of a sudden Christ is calling some of us unbelievers, or some of us have the spirit of Judas in us. Where does this transaction start taking place, or when does this spirit start getting developed? What we're going to find out is you might have the spirit of fear of the Most High and some level of admiration, but you also have a strong conscience or strong opinion, which is called your personal reasoning. A lot of the battles start with, I have this inspiration, but I also have this reasoning that I was also born with. So if you're the few or the lucky to be born with the one faithful, or to be born with a fear of the Most High, you still have that reasoning in you that you're going to be fighting for the rest of your life. And this is where a lot of us end up as the unbeliever. Not because they don't believe in Christ, not because they don't believe Christ died. They don't believe that my reasoning doesn't matter when I serve Christ. They don't believe that my opinion and my perspective on life that I personally been developed thinking and believing and seeing doesn't matter. This is the environment we're going to start creating. So, give me Isaiah 44 and verse 21.
Isaiah chapter 44 and verse 21.
1 second, sir. And then go. Isaiah 44 and verse 21. Give me that.
Isaiah chapter 44 and verse 21. Remember these, O Jacob and Israel, for thou art my servant.
Remember, Jacob and Israel, the chosen tribes, the so-called black, the so-called Native American, and the so-called Latino man, and all those that are scattered amongst the four corners of the earth. You are his servant. Read it again.
Isaiah chapter 44, verse 21. Remember these, O Jacob and Israel, for thou art my servant.
You are my servant. This is the word, this is the Most High speaking. Read on.
It says, for thou art my servant. I have formed you.
I have formed you to serve me. I have formed you with a fear to want to serve me. How about that? Like Romans 10 said, we have a desire and a zeal to serve God. Or where does that come from? When the Most High is forming us or choosing what spirit to go in our body in the womb, he says you're going to be a servant. You're going to have a fear of me. Read on.
Thou art my servant.
He reiterated it. You are my servant. Read on.
O Israel, thou shalt not be forgotten of me.
Meaning you can't just live how you want to live because you're my servant. So now give me a definition of servant. Point 9. What does it mean to be a servant? Why does he keep reiterating the same word over and over again?
Servant.
You got it.
1828 Webster's Dictionary, point number 9. One that makes painful sacrifices.
Hold on. One that makes what sacrifices?
Painful sacrifices.
Okay.
In compliance with the weakness or wants of others.
So this sacrifice goes two ways. Part of serving Christ is I get to fill in the gaps or the weaknesses of those that I'm serving. Now we know the Most High is not weak, nor does he make errors. But we're going to find out what weaknesses or deficiencies or gaps we're supposed to be filling. The other part of it is I make these sacrifices, whatever sacrifice it may be, in compliance to the want of others. In this case, I'm sacrificing or I'm serving Christ and his will. I'm serving the Most High in whatever will he takes me in. So now, when the Most High is saying, I have formed you, thou art my servant, how do people take this information? A lot of us have a hard time accepting this concept. From the beginning of time, you're telling me, now that you've chosen me and have set me apart and made me this special vessel, this special people, that my life no longer matters. And what do I mean by that? Give me second Ezra 7 and verse 14. When I say my life no longer matters, meaning my expectation of my life no longer matters. What the Most High wants from me and the path and the course he's going to take me on is the priority now. Because I've accepted this persuasion from the Most High. I've accepted this feeling that God wants more from my life. So now what am I going to do to prove him right? What am I going to do to get in alliance with what he's telling me and what course he's trying to take me on? Give me 2 Ezra 7 and verse 14.
2 Ezra chapter 7 verse 14. If then they that live labor not into thee.
Hold on, you got to read it right. You got to read this right. If then they that live, you got to pause right there. If then they that live, read on.
If then they that live labor not to enter these straight and vain things.
Hold on. If you live and you're not laboring, you're not busting your tail to get into compliance with these straight, give me a definition of straight, Karai.
Straight. 1828, Webster
He
Dictionary.
says, if you're not laboring to live a life of straightness, read on.
Definition?
Yes, you're not.
Okay, kind. Straight. 1828, Webster Dictionary. Strict. Rigorous.
If you're not working your tail off, putting yourself in environments to live a rigorous and a strict life, yes,
Difficult. Distressful.
that doesn't sound like the American dream, unfortunately. That doesn't sound like a reality in which you get to sit here and you're smiling every day and you got a lot of free time to mess around and do what you want to do. What does it mean you're living a rigorous, what does a rigorous life look like? When I think of a rigorous life, I think of someone, I'm not saying this is extreme, but I think of someone who wakes up early and is busting their tail all day long and gets to go home, go to sleep, and do it all over again. Their life is very structured and orderly.
Routine.
It's very routine-based. A lot of people do not like routine-based lives. How about we had a rigorous life in Egypt? Before we got saved out of Egypt, we was working 10-day work weeks. Your life is to get up and make these pyramids. Get up and move these stones. I'm not really sure what the women were doing at that time. But I know for the men, you was working day in and day out. You're up before the sun's up, and you're going to sleep before the sun goes down. All right, you're going to sleep. You're going home when the sun's already down. That was a rigorous and strict lifestyle. Is the Most High saying it's going to be that hard and that intense? Probably not. But he's saying, if I'm not at least putting myself in situations that's going to force a more rigid and disciplined and difficult life. And what? There was another word after that. Read on in the scripture.
Straight and vain things.
And vain things. Why is it vain? Can someone explain that to me?
That's the question again. I'm sorry.
Why would he say you have to live? Why would he say you have to labor to live a strict and a vain life? What does that mean? Is the work of Christ vain? Is that what he means?
No, it'll
Okay.
be vain to others. Others will see it as vain
Because what?
because it's a selfless life, and you're not doing all this extra.
Because you don't have to.
Exactly.
It's vain and it's worthless. You don't have to do it. You don't have to live a strict, rigorous, difficult life. You don't have to follow counsel. You don't have to do anything. You can do what you want to do. That's what America tells you. That's what your family would tell you. That's what your friends would tell you. You don't have to do this. It's a worthless endeavor if you're not thinking it spiritually. So he says if you're not laboring to live this quote-unquote rigorous and vain life to the perspective of others, read on. Finish it.
They can never receive those that are laid up for them.
It says you can never receive the blessings that are laid up for you. It's another reason why someone will say it's vain. Because the common man will say you're working your tail off for a gift and a reward which you can't see. For a power in which you can't see. That doesn't make any sense. It's not logical. Remember, what are we debating with half of the time? My reasoning versus divine inspiration. This entire life is dependent on what spirit you give your mind to. What makes sense to me versus what the Most High has influenced me to do. All right. Let that go. Give me Isaiah 30 and verse 20.
So it sounds like that. It sounds
Hold
like,
this, by the way.
sounds like knowing that we're servants, we are of the nation of Israel, is different from accepting the lifestyle that comes with who we are.
Well, and that's why I wanted to, I'm sure we've had class on this in the past. And I know at least majority of the men that are in the work understand this. The reason why I say majority is because we still fight this concept every day on the smallest scales, taking an order. That doesn't make any sense. I have a smarter way of doing it. There's probably a more reasonable way of going about doing X, Y, and Z. Versus just locking in, because God says lock in.
Right.
So we do it on a small scale all the time. But what you're saying is perfect. Do I accept what it means to be a servant? I love watching old town or old school type stories or movies where they have like, because this is only the dynamic you can really see it in. They have like a royalty type personnel. Then you have actual servants. Now you have the bad servants who don't do very good, then they get fired, get their head chopped off. That's extreme. Or you have the really great servants that love their servitude so much, they make it a generational thing. They make it to where this is their whole culture. This is their tradition. This is my life. This is my family's family tradition. It's not just, I did it or my grandfather did and we had to say here.
It's a reputation behind it.
It's a reputation, it's a status, and they love serving their master, their particular master. That's a concept in which most of us have not given ourselves to. We just love being last. We love not getting our desires or our lust itches scratched. And just being at the whims of somebody else. Somebody else's desires, somebody else's way of thinking, somebody else's way of functioning and operating. That bothers us because our reasoning is constantly weighing down the inspiration. So, give me that in verse 30 and 20.
Isaiah chapter 30, verse 20. And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity.
Now, remember, the Most High said, I formed you. You're my servant. So how is he, I guess, what nutrients, so to speak, is he feeding us with? Because he's going to bring up food and some type of drink. How is he feeding us? How is he nurturing this formation, so to speak? Read on.
And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity.
So you get bread of adversity. You get a nice loaf of bread full of adversity and hardship. Read on.
And the water of affliction.
And your hydration after that raw as bread, excuse my French, is more affliction.
That's the chaser.
That's the chaser. You got some adversity, and I'm going to get some more affliction afterwards. And that's how you're going to be formed in this particular lifestyle.
Nourished.
That's going to be nourished. So now we got to ask ourselves, are we actively laboring to live after this adversity and affliction-filled life? What parts of our life are we avoiding to make it a little more uncomfortable? But to get the spiritual benefit out of it back, to get the spiritual benefit of it in the back end. I'm not sitting here saying make your life a living, HE double hockey sticks. But for some people, just being locked into somebody and serving them is already the worst thing ever for them.
Especially if you're older than that person you got to lock into.
That's the battle too.
That's a whole other fact.
Well, yeah, I'll say that goes into part of this point. Because let's look at Egypt and Israel, and they're being told, okay, I'm going to take you out of this 10-day work week, but you got to follow this young guy, this 40-year-old Egyptian that speaks broken Hebrew, and he is now running the show. He is now the guy that your God, the one that you serve, you got to follow, and you don't know where he's taking you. You don't know what direction this is going. You don't know where your life's going anymore. Right. And you got to lock in. And for the older men who had status, who had maybe some notoriety, that was a hard thing for them to accept. But Dathan and Korah? That what it was? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dathan and Korah. Dathan and Korah got to lock into this young guy, and they didn't agree. They didn't agree with that affliction or that suffering. So then, them along with half of the camp got swallowed up.
Right.
That's the end of that story. It didn't last very long. But what was the point? Whatever your particular adversity or affliction might be, it's still forcing you to get closer to the Most High. Yeah. Because the more service you do, the more closer you are to realizing what living like Christ was about. That's what the whole point is about. The more rigorous and straight and vain things I'm doing in hopes of getting Christ's attention is how I realize who Christ was and the life he lived. We freak out at the concept of being under the will of somebody else, and we don't realize Christ was saying over and over again, I do not my own will. Yeah. My judgment is correct because I'm not judging for myself. I'm about to go through the worst circumstance possible for y'all, and I don't want to go through it. How about that?
So we're forced into applying Christ's method versus our own.
But that's the inspiration. The inspiration is there's a part of you that can see, this is the path you got to go. But the majority of you, your reasoning is saying, don't do this. There's danger here. There's loss here. There's risk here. Why would you put yourself in a situation?
The unknown.
It's unknown. It's unknown territory. You're living a life where you don't have control over your steps in your walk. So read that again.
Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 20. It says, "And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction."
Now, there's supposed to be hope here. There's no escaping the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, which is how you're getting formed, which is how you're getting developed. The hope is, and the blessing is, read on.
"Yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner anymore, but thine eyes shall see thy teachers."
The blessing is, you're not doing this by yourself. You're not doing it by yourself. You're not trying to figure out what this life's supposed to look like by yourself. Not only that, keep reading.
Verse 21. It says, "And thine ears shall hear a word behind thee, saying, This is the way, walk ye in it. When ye turn to the right hand, and when ye turn to the left."
Not only that, you'll be given people who have enough understanding of this life, who've gone through it enough, and have lost enough, and have lived a rigid enough or straight enough life to properly guide your steps and say, go this way, walk that way, make this turn instead. It's hope if you take those words serious and you live after those words. But that's another part of servitude. Do I want to sit here and be under a lifestyle where someone is constantly telling me where to walk, where to turn, where to stop at? That's another part in which a lot of us come into a roadblock. What you going to say, sir?
I just had a question.
Yes, sir.
So what I'm asking. So are you saying even though we're living this unfamiliar, right, lifestyle, or we're making this choice to follow after this unfamiliar lifestyle, and it's uncertain, some things seem uncertain, the Most High is still going to give me, I guess, that reassurance or those answers with elders and other men that have fought the things that I'm about to fight, or similar situations?
Yes. The Most High will give you people, individuals, that can show you what steps to take. Because the hardest thing to do is be an a pioneer. A pioneer of this. That'd be a very hard thing to do, where you're the only one woken up in your city or in your town, and you've got to want to live a very disciplined life, and it's just you and by yourself. Someone had to do that. Abram had to do that.
Yep.
That's why he's the father of faith. You're not being asked to do that. You're being asked to follow a structure and a lifestyle that has been proven to work by individuals, if they're faithful in their works, can walk you through it step by step.
And you can use, it says teachers. You can use, your guidance counselors. You can use trainers, like somebody that train you on the job, a supervisor,
A coach.
a coach. You can use other familiar words so that you don't have to be like, I have to call him my elder. I'm older than this guy.
Yeah,
Or I don't even know him. I just met him over a bowl of soup.
Yeah, right.
So you can use other words if that bothers you.
And my thing is, why should it bother you?
Why?
Because you came here obviously for a reason. When I said you were inspired, I didn't say you just woke up wanting to serve God. A lot of us, they're inspired because their life fell apart.
Right.
A lot of us like, man, this is my last. I have no other option, no other place to go. There's no other direction I can take right now. It's only gotten worse doing my own thing. My reasoning is not taking me very far in life. Not everybody was just told and believed, locked in right when they were born, like, hey, this is the life you should go. I should know. It's not me. That was in my generation that's still here. So it's not just because you were born of truth, you believe in this, or you came from the world and God has spoke to you. That doesn't happen to everybody.
Right.
A lot of people, life has to start crumbling around them to where they can now see, okay, there's got to be something else out here than just what I thought was real at one point. So that inspiration, that's why I would say, don't shy away from saying someone's a teacher or a guide, because they are. If they figure this out, if they figure the thing that you want to figure out, let me say that better. If they figured this way out better than you, then they're your instructor. until you can surpass them. What you got?
What you're saying is, if they found more spiritual success than me, I gotta follow them.
Yeah, and there's classes on that too. The whole idea of charismatic authority. Charismatic authority is the authority given by people, humble people, who realize I have a long way of going. And I will accept any type of instruction that I know is spiritual. Now, that can be dangerous if you don't read the Bible enough, or they're not pulling from the Bible. Because I'm not telling you to follow anybody that's just talking out of their you know what. It's got to be coming from the Scriptures. Because that's the lifestyle in which we're trying to live. A more Christ-like lifestyle, which has to come from the Bible. So, we got that point. Now let's go back to 2 Esdras 7 and verse 21. So we have an understanding what it means to be drawn to the Most High. Somehow, some way, the influence or the pressure of your life force you to learn more about the Most High, force you to seek after His way. But now you're coming to realize this lifestyle is about being a servant.
And it doesn't feel like a force because he's drawing you, right?
Yeah. Well, I say force because, again, going back to some people's circumstances, it was their last option. So the force is like, I'm going to make everything else around you fall apart to where now this is the only thing you can look at. Look for hope in. That's just what it is.
And that could be sooner or later.
And that's the point.
It could be subjective.
And the blessing is, you're already here. The hard part's over. Now it's about, can I accept that now that I'm in these doors, or now that I'm reading the scripture, my life is to be a servant, which is one that makes painful sacrifices in compliance with the weakness or wants of others? This is where Christ is saying, I know some of y'all ain't a believer. I'll go in the classroom and I start pointing people out. I know y'all ain't a believer. Why? Because I don't accept I'm a servant yet. You know who else didn't accept we were servants? Read 2 Esdras 7 and verse 21.
2 Esdras chapter 7, verse 21. For the Most High has given straight commandment to such as came.
Like he just said, I'm going to develop you with bread of adversity and water of affliction, but I'm going to give you teachers. He's making it even more clear. Not only that, I'm going to give you the commandment crystal clear of what you should do and what you should not do to either anger me or to please me. Read on.
What they should do to live, even as they came, and what they should observe to avoid punishment.
Now, going back to Egypt. We came out of Egypt and we were living a completely Gentile, completely lawless way of thinking. And one of the first things he did was, I'm going to give you instructions. I'm going to now tell you what you can and cannot eat. I'm going to now tell you who you can and cannot serve. What God you can and cannot serve. I'm going to tell you what holidays you can and cannot have. I'm going to tell you who you can and cannot marry. I'm going to tell you what jobs you can and cannot have. And you got to live with it. Now, as you can expect, most of Israel was not happy with those terms and conditions. But he told you, this is what you got to do to live. This is what you got to do to please me. If you want to please me, this is what you're going to have to do. I'm going to tell you what you can and cannot desire in life. How about when you're in Egypt, your ideas and aspirations and hopes are gone. You're just walking around, following this guide. He's telling you to keep walking. You don't think there was wise guys in Israel? I said, why do we have to walk around for 2 years? Why can't we just go straight there? Those people had great ideas. Why be thirsty? Let's get more buckets and let's keep a water storage with us as we're going. The people are hungry. Why don't we make some dried meat so we can travel with? You don't think people had good ideas, so to speak? Had great reasonings? Was it about their reasonings? Or was it about just follow, just serve? Y'all tell me the story. Y'all remember the story or not? I don't know.
It's funny because he also told them that they wasn't supposed to sacrifice their own animals for food and depend on the manna.
But it goes back to say again, you got things, you got goods, you got money, and you can't spend it how you want to spend it. You can't eat it when you want to eat it. That don't sound like a strict, rigorous life? I'm asking. Does that sound liberal? Free choice?
And he's gonna give it to you when he feels like giving it to you.
What he feel like?
To the unlearned, it's like it almost sounds like, man, these guys are under like some type of a dictatorship.
It's like slavery.
Yeah.
That's what they said. They said, Moses, you took us out of our land of milk and honeys. Out of our 10-week work, our 10-day work week, where we ain't getting no respect, disrespected, threatened, lives on the line. That was our milk and honey. This is hell. I don't know what you're talking about, Moses. I'm gonna go back. Well, what do we say now? Why did you take me out of the streets where I was obviously unhappy, making bad decisions, having bad relationships, depressed, suicidal? I come in the truth, I'm still sad. I'm even more sad now. Why are you more sad? Because at least when you're in the world, you get to choose. You get to choose how you were suffering. And you get to choose how I was coping with it. Now I got to just suffer raw.
Yeah.
I got to just deal with it. And there's no escape. No one's going to sit here and co-sign my sadness.
Why do you brothers keep looking for me?
Yeah.
Why do you keep calling
Why are you
me?
blowing my phone up? Why do I have to be accountable? Why do I have to know where I'm at every 5 seconds?
Well, I gotta wake up at
I'm a grown man.
6:30 a.m.
I'm a grown man. I'm a grown woman.
Make
I'm a
calls.
grown A woman. I'm a grown A man. Hey, that's what it is. I'm trying to be PG. But that's what it is. I'm so years old. I've been on this earth longer than you've been thought of, boy.
Don't you know?
Con. I agree. But what is it? What were you saying? He said, I gave you straight commandment. Straight. I mean, there's no deviation from this. There was no confusion in what I told you on what you can do, what you can't do, what you can eat, what you can't eat, who you can marry, who you can't marry. There was no deviation. It was pretty clear what you should do to live. If you do X, Y, Z, you'll live. You'll find favor with me. If you don't, you'll have to observe a punishment. Do we think the strictness of the Lord is any different? Give me that. Give me Hebrews 10:7. Give me Hebrews 10:7. I think that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Hold this. Don't let this go. No, that's not it. 7. I think it's 13. I think it's 13. It's 13 and
17? 16?
no. It's not 13.
How
I'm
does it
saved
go?
it 8 tomorrow. I've been listening to that. Like
Obey,
yesterday.
not obey.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's 13 and 8?
Yeah.
Yes. 13 and 8. Slakia.
Okay.
Hebrews chapter 13, verse 8. Yahushai, the same yesterday and today and forever.
So the same Christ that was the fiery figure at night, that was hovering over us every single day during Egypt, who was giving us these demands. You're saying he's just as strict as he was back in the day? Well, if that's the case, then why are we surprised? Why are we surprised when we hear a servant is one that makes painful sacrifices in compliance with the weakness or wants of others? Do you think we wanted to walk around in Egypt for 40 years? No.
Nope.
You think we want to walk around for 1 year? The promise was 2 years. The promise was you walk around and get in order. We'll go to the final destination, right? How many of the Israelites do you think really wanted to leave Egypt?
Nah, they didn't want.
Some of them were comfortable over there. They had some business going on over there.
Leaks.
It was cool. Some of them was cool over there. Most I uprooted all of that and said no. Go this direction. Just for them not to get what they wanted in the new land.
Some brothers like to go out of town. Some brothers don't.
Hey, everyone's taste and flavors is a little different. Not everybody, wanted to be the super boss in Egypt. But whatever it might have been, everybody's life was uprooted and changed in attempts to serve the Most High. Did everybody agree? Read that again. Give me 2 Ezra 7 and verse 22. So the Most High gave us strict commandment what to do to live and what not to do to die or to be punished. Read on.
2 Ezra chapter 7, verse 22. Nevertheless, they were not obedient unto him.
Is that surprising? That's why it's not surprising now. That's why Christ said, I know some of you aren't believers. All of y'all got inspiration. Everyone's got inspiration to believe there's a God, to believe that somebody is watching and directing my lifestyle. But to have to sit here and conform everything and subdue everything about me that makes me me, that's where the disobedience comes in. Read on.
But spake against him and imagined vain things.
Because the thought is, what type of God is this? To where I can't do anything for myself anymore. The other gods that the nations served, they could do whatever they wanted. Where do you think the jealousy was coming in? It wasn't just the mansions. The other gods or the other religions people followed, they could do whatever they wanted and get their quote unquote
Fix.
not fixed, but that they were told if you can live how you want, you'll still make it. Perks, benefits. You get the benefits and you do what you want.
Have your cake and eat it.
Exactly. That's not what this is saying. That's not what this ever has said. So when we're sitting here told what to do, what not to do, who to marry, who not to marry, what to eat, what not to eat, what desire you can have, what desire you can't have, why are we so starstruck? I don't understand what the confusion is. He's been saying the same thing since Genesis. Read on.
Verse 23.
Yep.
And deceived themselves by their wicked deeds, and said of the Most High that he is not, and knew not his ways.
He said, you know what? This can't be a God. This can't be our God. This is not my God. My God will let me do what I want to do. My God wouldn't sit here and restrict so much of my life. Not even the Egyptians is this hard on us. That's what they're saying. That's what they're telling themselves. Not even the wicked Egyptians are restricting this much from us. So why would our God that we're supposed to be following take so much fun away from my life? That doesn't make any sense to my reasonable and rational brain. Read on. I'll lead you on, bro. Come on.
Yeah, but his law have they despised, and denied his covenants, and his statutes have they not been faithful, and have not performed his works.
Because this is the point. He gave us the commandments. He told us the rules and conditions. He gave us a manuscript. And we said, I don't agree. I don't agree with these terms and conditions. And we did our own thing. All right, let that go. Give me Psalms 4 and verse 1 through 5. Psalms 4 and verse 1 through 5. So, while we go over here, we're explaining the idea, or now where this debate starts coming from. So I have a lot of reasoning. I have a lot of opinions. I have a lot of ways I look at life. But they're conflicting to the ways the Most High wants me to look at life. Give me Psalms 4 and verse 1 through 5.
God. Psalms chapter 4 and verse 1. Hear me when I call, O power of my righteousness. Thou hast enlarged me when I was in distress.
That's very important. David said, you have enlarged me when I was in distress. I'm going to read that definition of enlarged real quick. Enlarged. Enlarged. Enlarged means to expand, to make more comprehensive. Science enlarges the mind. The pressure and the stress, or the pressure or the environment that's created to force you to serve, enlarges your comprehension of what Christ's life was about. The more you're living a rigid, disciplined life, the closer it is you can see what this is about from the beginning. Because did not Christ say the servant is not greater than the master? Well, what does that mean? You have to feel what I felt. If you don't feel what I'm feeling, how are you my servant? How are you my disciple? That's what he's saying. The more distress you put into me, the more I'm enlarged. The more your ways are not comprehensive. What you're going through, Christ, makes more sense. The lifestyle you live makes more sense. How you were deemed perfect now makes more sense because you were always putting yourself in rigid, strict conditions to where you're denying everything. That's why it's not confusing that he's putting so many boundaries and borders on our life. Keep reading.
God. Psalms chapter 4 and verse 1. Hear me when I call, O power of my righteousness. Thou hast enlarged me when I was in distress. Have mercy upon me and hear my prayer. O ye sons of men, how long will ye turn my glory into shame? How long will ye love vanity and seek after leasing?
Because this is the question. How long are we going to choose vanity, which is, by definition, for those that don't know, vanity is want of substance to satisfy desire. How many times are we going to choose life choices and life pathways or courses to satisfy a lacking of desire? That lust itch that we have. And to choose leasing or to seek after leasing is deceived lifestyle. We have the straight way of how to live, but we keep choosing the deceived lifestyle. That's what it says in verse 22 of 2 Ezra 7, nevertheless, and deceive themselves by their wicked deeds. We keep choosing vanity to deceive ourselves and convince ourselves we don't have to live this strict lifestyle. I don't have to be distressed. I don't have to lose. I don't have to be inconvenienced. I don't have to come second. This is where the deception comes in. Keep reading.
Verse 3. But know that the Most High hath set apart him that is godly for himself.
But we want to be set apart. We want to be set apart and seen as special. But I don't want to do the things that it takes to be considered different than everybody else. I don't want to be the strict person or live the strict disciplined life. But that's what makes you special. I don't want to give up the things. First off, when I say make painful sacrifices, it's not like the Most High. No, he was saying that. Be careful what I'm saying. He is saying give your life up. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Or you can like get out of yourself, what you normally don't do. Like for instance, myself, I'm used to, or before even this, or even now, even up to recently, I would come home, you know, we work in the elements, work 12, 15-hour days sometimes, and go home and, you know, I just want to take a shower, I want to read a little bit, and I want to kick on my feet. But now, I have to come home, I have to wash the dishes, I have to cook, I have to, you know, eat, wash the dishes again, come down and let them pile up, and then I'll take a shower, and I do all of that, and then still do my studies. That's something I normally don't do.
Let me put it this way, because what you're saying makes sense. You're saying what you're learning in the truth is now teaching you to be a better husband or be a better leader in the household. Who does that benefit?
That benefits, you know, son, or you have daughters, wife, of course.
Yes.
Right?
I guess I want to put it this way. When we go to class every day, who does that benefit?
Everybody else.
You. It benefits you. The whole need not what?
Physician, but the
The whole need not a physician. A physician.
physician.
God.
Physician.
Physician.
Am I saying it right?
I don't even know, bro. That word's crazy.
Physical. Physician.
Yes, physician. The whole need not a physician, but the sick.
Yep.
So the classes are to get you strong enough, get you built back up, because when you came here, you were not built up. You were not strong. You weren't even strong enough to really fulfill the course in which he wants you to fulfill.
Right.
Remember, in 2nd Ezra, I might be misquoting it, 2nd Ezra 10 and verse 6, it talks about how your obedience has to be fulfilled before you can revenge all disobedience, right?
That's in Corinthians.
2 Corinthians, that's what I mean. 2 Corinthians
Yeah.
10 and 6. That might be it. The point is, I have to get strong enough and disciplined enough in my life before I can really even be a force for somebody else's life. So as you're learning how to be that ambassador for Christ, so to speak, the lessons, the disciplines you're learning, the new skills you're learning, that's really to benefit you and to get you strong enough to where now you can start benefiting somebody else. Now, the sacrifice that it takes to come to class and to read the Bible, the Most High is happy about that. But is that all we have to do? Is that the only painful sacrifice we have to give up?
Nope. You got
Oh, we tell us that a lot of times that's what we think.
that's your reasonable sacrifice, bro.
A
That's the
lot of people, that's all we're gonna give the Lord. All I'm gonna give the Lord is just I'm gonna come to class and read.
And you know what I've learned in the Sabbath classes, if you watch them, like going back to Onias,
Yeah.
Onias II to be more exact, he didn't want to do the paperwork. He didn't want to
Nope.
pay up.
Okay.
Everything that we do is spiritual. Paperwork,
Okay.
paying bills, cooking, cleaning, everything we do is spiritual.
and that was the extra stuff that he was supposed to do outside of the priesthood. He was already, when you read the story about Onias, he was already doing the priestly work.
Yeah.
But the outside work, as far as in the paperwork, and he wasn't on top of none of that.
It's to keep what's already functioning and working going. I can't just stop doing paperwork and stop filing and stop paying bills because I'm just so dedicated to my studies. No, you gotta still maintain your responsibilities. What am I trying to say? What we do every day, the scriptures we're learning, the counsel we're getting, is to build us up to be better examples for Christ's what? His husbandry. His husbandry. The stronger you are, the better you are at being a good father. The better you are at being a good husband. The better you are at being a person who's present and who's at least content and happy in his lifestyle. The better servant, or rather the better helper, inspirer, or fisher of men or women you can be. That is the work. It's not just getting knowledge and breakdowns.
Right.
It's can I get the information, start living the information, so where now someone who didn't know Christ can see Christ through me.
And it's like, oh, you ask for a stronger spirit, but if you ask for a stronger spirit, but then you want easy conditions, what do you want a strong spirit for?
But because what doesn't make any sense is the scripture says, "When much is given, much is required."
Right.
The more you get, you got to keep giving. We can't just get this information, get this knowledge, get strong up in the spirit, just for our house to be strong, and that's it.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. The purpose is, can I live this strict, rigid life so my kids can see it and they understand this is what life is about? So that the people around me, even the people in the world, can see this. They're different. Something about them is different. They might even know what it is yet. It's honorable. It's an honorable lifestyle to live. So Christ on display all the time. But you know what that means? Not just am I giving up free time. Not just am I giving up diet. I got to change my diet so that the strangers know when they come in the house, there ain't no pork up in here. There's no ungodly foods up in here.
Right.
I got to give up my personal taste and my likes that are borderline wicked. Because people got to see also, hey, this person doesn't listen to this type of music.
Right.
Or this person doesn't go to these certain areas. I got to give up how I talk to people. I'll never forget, I was at a friend's house when I was younger. And that was the first time I've seen a man and a woman. Well, that's not true. That's not true. And I would say outside of my own house, and the crazy side of my house, I'll say that. I preference that. The crazy side of my house, the other side of my family, I hadn't seen men and women just constantly cussing each other out. It's clowning. They're clowning. They're joking. But they're calling each other the most derogatory terms as jokes. I'm going to beat your woo. Keep talking that smack. They laugh. I wish you would. You can put your hands on me. I'll put my hands on you. All right. We're on vacation. You got two other guests here that are just like, what is going on? And they're just laughing, hee-haw-ha, talking the most absurd things I've ever heard come out of somebody's mouth. As a joke. Then you're surprised when they start actually fighting.
Right.
Oh, well, you was talking that jazz this whole time. And then the kids, and what made it worse, the kids said this. Like, yeah, man, that's normal. They used to have me and my sister sit in front of them and just box it out if we had a problem. I'm like, what are we teaching these kids right now? What is going on?
Crazy, bro.
Now you got this young girl boxing her older brother.
Yeah.
And you wonder why she's still boxing men now.
Yeah.
She's a fighter. There's no doubt about that. But what were they teaching the kids? That was their lifestyle. That's what they were putting out there. They weren't ashamed about it either. There was no shame in their game. And they drove Lambos. Mind you, they had her rich. They lived in big, dope houses. They had multiple businesses. Their 16-year-old son had a Corvette, a red Corvette. They had money. They had G-Wagons. They had money. And you thugging with money, y'all.
Almost sound like the
Thug
Paul
rich,
family,
y'all.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm not going to throw their name out there. Y'all know who it is. I know who it is.
Suge Knight.
I knew it. Suge Knight. That was them, but that was dynamic. You know. The point is, their life didn't make any sense. Their lack of discipline didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And it rubbed off on their children. And you're surprised when the son's getting arrested when he goes to college under domestic violence. You're surprised that the daughter is getting in fights with her boyfriend. That's not surprising. That was normalized in their household. Are we normalizing bad habits? What are we not giving up? Are we normalizing bad conversations? Because what was the Most High talking about when he says sacrifice, painful sacrifices? Can I suck my pride up when I feel like I'm being disrespected? That's a painful sacrifice.
Oh, yeah.
When I feel like I'm not getting the most consideration in the deal right now, can I just take low and suffer wrongfully? That's a great verse. It sounds amazing. But when it's time to actually suffer wrongfully, we forget it all of a sudden. Second Peter's go out the window. That don't exist no more. Keep reading. Where we at? We're at Psalms 4 and verse 3. Or 4 and verse 4.
Yeah, come. Psalms chapter 4 and verse 4. Stand in awe.
It says stand in awe. What does that awe mean? It's fear mingled with admiration. You know what that means? As I'm considering the life of a servant, what's motivating me is the fear that the Most High is going to obviously judge me if I don't. But the admiration side of it is, this is what Christ had to do. That's where the admiration and the understanding of Christ really comes into play. I can see now how he lived on another level versus just sheet on paper. The words come to life when you're putting yourself and following the steps of Christ. When you're living a life where my thoughts are not my own thoughts. What does that even mean? When you're making decisions, whose thoughts are making decisions for you?
The Most High.
Well, no, hold on. We always talk about it. When we're making decisions and it's pressure time, who are we thinking about? What would Shashawan do right now?
Yeah.
What would this brother do right now?
How would a war react to the scenario right now? How do you? And you're just picking counsels in your head, and you're hoping this is the right one. And you gotta trust this is the right counsel right now.
Because if they don't pick up the phone,
all you got is their past counsels and what you know about their character. That's why understanding who you're following is so important. What you know about their character and what they would choose to do.
Under the given situation or circumstance.
For instance, there was a time when we don't have to do this setup, right? If the house is too small, I don't have to blow an hour to take these doors off of this fridge.
right,
and get in the house. I can say it don't fit and get up out of there. And they had to live with the fact that they didn't do the measurements right.
Yeah.
That's on them, G.
That's true.
Or I can chop it up. It's a long day, but you know what? I'll do it for you. Well, the situation was it's a long day. We've been there for like 10 hours. And the lady's like, yeah, you know, I'm rebuilding the house, but I don't think it's going to fit in the door. My first thought is, it's tough. It's going to be unfortunate for you. I look at the door right now, like I can tell right now, this door is 33 inches. It ain't going to fit. I already know. You've seen so many doors. You already know if it's going to fit or not.
Right.
You measure, it doesn't fit. Hey, you see this? That's 33. Your fridge is 35. So it's not going to go.
Sorry.
But, you know, I had to remember Sean Schwann's voice. Because sometimes Sean will be like, I will do it. We'll do it. And now, there's also other times where the brother will sit here and say, don't worry about it. So now I have a choice. What's the stronger example? What was Sean Schwann saying in his most potent force? Go ahead and do it. Customer's always right.
Above and beyond.
Okay. That's what servitude is. So I said, all right, let's do it. I think I was with Moselle that day. Let's do it. Took the doors off. I get to talking to the lady, and she's like, you know what? You guys are really great. I would like to work with you guys. How about we set up a new business adventure? How about we sit here and team up in the future when I get time, and we work on a general contracting business together. You got manpower. I have the license. Let's do it. Now, if I chose to sit here and just skip the person, would I have ever had that interaction?
Nah.
So who blessed the interaction? The Most High blessed it. Why? Because I chose to serve. Because I chose to serve what my elder would tell me to do. if he was there. Sometimes you don't have to make the call. That was the point of that story.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't have to make the call because you know what the answer is. You already know he's going to tell you, go ahead and push through it.
Huh.
Go ahead and make a decision. If you're debating it, choose the strong choice. You already know he is. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose it for him because I already know he's going to tell me that anyway. And save his time, save my time, save the frustration, and just lock in and accept it. This is what it means to live after someone else's thought process. This is when your judgment starts getting pure. Because now my judgment is not for myself anymore. If I'm making decisions off of somebody else's judgment, who I trust and believe and know who lives a correct lifestyle and is backed by the Most High, then I won't fail. Most time, I'm going to be okay.
And in that situation, you can't be like, well, if I debate with them back and forth, it's going to take just as long to debate with them, go back and forth.
You might as well just do. You might as well just do it.
And that's the point.
Like it.
But that's still your own thinking. The stronger thinking would be do the right thing. What would my teacher, my elder, do?
Because if you don't have if you're not strong enough in yourself, then you have to make the decisions, or you have to take the counsels that your elder would give you. Can I sit here and rely on the words that the man next to me, who is stronger than me, would have instilled in me anyway, or has already instilled in me? This is what it means to be a servant. And when I'm living this type of thought process and this lifestyle, now I can stand in awe. And I can now reason and rationalize more and more why I do what I do every day. So I understand Christ more. Keep reading. That's what this verse is about. You're staying in awe. You're in admiration. It's not just fear anymore. Fear is no longer the motivation of your mind. It's no longer the pressure. It's now admiration for what Christ is doing this whole time. Now there's an excitement. Because, man, now I understand why he said what he said in this situation. Now I understand why he lived the way he lived. Read on.
Okay. Psalms chapter 4 and verse 4. Stand in awe and sin not.
And in turn, you won't sin as much. Because now you know why you do what you do. You won't slip as much. You won't make as many mistakes. Keep reading.
Okay. Commune with your own heart upon your bed and be still.
These are the thoughts you're supposed to be having to justify why you live the strict, rigorous life you live every single day. You have to be able to keep telling yourself and proving yourself why this is the best path to live. Why this is the best course of action to follow. Because Christ wants this. This pressure is good. This strict, rigorous life is good. It's the best thing for me. This is paradise. This is the land of milk and honey. We got to keep convincing ourselves this is the right way of doing things. And it's the best option for us. Because anything else will lead to destruction. That's what David was saying. What you got?
I was gonna say too, back to what you were saying about patterning yourself after your elders, right?
Yeah.
Seeing what kind of decisions that they will make.
Okay.
Sometimes you get those moments out where they ain't picking up the phone, but the Most High teaching you to wait. And when you wait, you get the counsel, and you're so thankful at the fact that you waited because you was just about to make that wrong decision.
Yeah.
I go through that all the time.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
just wanted to just say that.
No, why? Because we understand hardly do we guess it right. We weren't guessing right when we were in the world. But we still got our worldly reasoning. But we were wrong in the world. That's the madness of Israel. That's why we keep making mistakes over and over again. I don't want to follow somebody because they're man and they're fallible and they make mistakes. And they're not Christ himself. So I don't want to follow him. But I'll follow my own way of thinking. That don't make any sense either. What you got?
That's crazy that you say that because I had to stop when you said that. They say we're not going to follow because it's not Christ himself, but in reality, the level of pride that we have, Christ could literally be here.
Oh! That's next. I know. We know. How about you won't follow Christ anyway?
Yeah.
And Christ in your face said, "You gotta serve me, and I'm gonna take you on this water. I'm gonna take you on this water, and you gotta walk on this water. You gonna do it? Hell no. No.
I don't know what's in that water.
I don't know what's in there. It's just sharks in
We're in
there.
the ocean right now, bro. You got whales over here. You
We got 5 loaves of bread, Christ. We got 1,000 people. This ain't gonna work, dog.
Man.
I'm not buying this, dog. You don't make sense. That's not reasonable. Let's go to the market first. Tell them to go away. What's with this once ourselves? I'm 12, right? Everybody else go back home. They don't need to get the word of God no more. They're done. I'm tired. Are you tired, Christ? You tired? I'm tired, Christ. I'm tired. You didn't want to serve Christ? No. And we're going to get to that in a second. But you're right. That's the point. The point is, am I practicing putting myself in this rigorous lifestyle? So when it's time to show Christ I'm really about you, it's not a surprise anymore. You're not going to wake up in the wilderness and want to serve God. That's not going to happen.
In the desert.
In the desert with no food, no comfort. You're scared out of your mind.
Because that's the first thing he's going to do. He's going to starve you out first.
That's the point. That's what we did when he got out of Egypt.
Exactly.
We were thirsty for 3 days, and we was losing it. This ain't wisdom. Let's go back to Egypt, dog.
Yeah.
Let's boil some water. We're going to be all right.
Let's get some leeks.
Let's get some leeks and fish. This path doesn't make any sense. It's hot out here, Christ. Or Moses. It don't make no sense, Moses. Let's kill him. If we kill him, we can go back to our land of milk and honey. We can go back to our slavery. That is the reason that we take all the time. This is a habitual pattern we got. But we got opinions. And we think our reasoning makes sense. And we're surprised when we get checked. And we don't like being told what to do. Well, your reason don't make sense either. Keep reading. Verse 5.
Psalms chapter 4 and verse 5. Offer the sacrifices of righteousness.
You need to offer the sacrifices of righteousness as a servant. Read on.
And put your trust in the Most High.
Now we're going to find out what does that mean to offer sacrifices of righteousness. And what does it mean to trust the Most High? Let that go. Give me Hebrews 13 and verse 16. Hebrews 13 and verse 16 through 18. And then we'll jump to 21 and 22. Hebrews 13. I need you to read this loud, all right?
Yeah, come.
Hebrews 13 and verse 16 down to 18.
Hebrews chapter 13, verse 16. But to do good and to communicate, forget not. For with such sacrifices, the Most High is well pleased.
First off, this is important. One of the first sacrifices that a lot of us have a hard time getting over is you have to communicate. I have to confess where my mind's at. I have to confess I'm slipping right now. I haven't been disciplined. I've been rebellious. This is where my mind's been taking me. That is a lot for a lot of people. But a lot of people also think that's all you have to do. When it says this sacrifice is well pleased with the Most High, this communication is 2 ways. Because once you've opened your mouth, now you have to be scrutinized.
Yep.
Now I don't want to hear that. I don't want to sacrifice no more. I'm not okay with that sacrifice. I just want y'all to listen and then keep my secrets. I don't want this passed around either. I want it just between me and you.
Getting heard out.
You need to confide right here. I don't want to hear from no other sister, no other brother. This is just you and me. All right. I'll tell you my dirt. All right, but let's keep that in the back end. All right. I did it, Lord. I'm done. Wipe my hands. Keep reading.
Obey them that have the rule over you.
Why do you immediately says obey them that have the rule over you now? Because now I'm on a hook. Okay, you've been inspired enough and motivated enough by God to want to come out and start speaking about your life, start speaking about your deficiencies, start speaking about what makes you tick, and opening yourself up. That's important. That's the first step. But now you have to obey them that are going to be correcting you, because your thoughts don't make sense, because your reason doesn't make any sense. Your justification for why you do what you do doesn't make any sense. Am I okay with that sacrifice? Those are the sacrifices of righteousness. Keep reading.
And submit yourself.
Hold on. It goes back to that submitting thing again. Now you got to be a servant. That's another part of those righteous sacrifices. What was that definition of servant again?
Servant. Is that servant?
Servant, yeah.
Okay, servant. 1828, Webster's Dictionary. Point number 9.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Okay, point number 9. One that make painful sacrifices in compliance with the weakness or wants of others.
So now I'm being told by God, now these aren't my words anymore. This is the Most High. It's not the dictionary saying it. I have to submit myself to the wants of somebody else. That can mean I have to submit myself to the structure or lifestyle of somebody else. I have to submit myself to the level of communication that somebody else wants from me. Some people don't want to just be thrown up on them.
And that communication, what do they want? But what do they want from you? who, what, where, what, why, how,
Yeah.
all the questions
Right.
Yeah.
that you got answered that you don't want to answer.
Because how to communicate is also very important. Because I don't want you to sit here and just throw up for three hours and we don't get to the root of the problem. Have your thoughts organized and tell me this is the problem, this is how it started. That's a sacrifice in itself. That takes more time to think, time to meditation. Okay, all right, this is what happened, this is what it is. Now the counselor can give you the proper answer. But whatever he's asking for, or they're asking for, can I submit to it? Keep reading the scriptures.
For they watch for your souls,
They're watching for your souls. Read on.
as they that must give account.
And this is why the information gets passed around. Because multiple people are watching for for your soul. Multiple people are coming up with game plans to keep pushing you in the righteous direction. And I can't get upset when I'm not getting the answer that I want, or I'm not getting the type of person I can confide in that's going to agree with my weak reasoning. Because if Christ was here himself, it said he was an austere man. Do you think he's going to agree with any weak reasoning? No. No. He's going to give you the most real and straight answer. And we'll get into that in a little bit. Keep reading.
That they may do it with joy and not with grief.
He says, don't make their life difficult, the person you're counseling with difficult, by your attitude, by the complaining, by the silent rebellion, by the open rebellion. Because it's their job to give an account. That they may do with joy. You should want someone to want to help you. That's why you came in here. That's why we all came in here. Can I have a positive attitude to get checked, even if I don't like what's being said, but still take it in the most spiritual way possible, so this person can come back and not feel crunchy when he has to check me again?
And what that means too is also that they're responsible for you. So whether you know it or not, but behind the mistakes that you make, they might get corrected or checked.
If they don't correct you.
That's the point. And they have to give account to Christ. Because now they're watching over your soul and your development. But it says, don't make their life grievous, that they may do it with joy. Read on.
For that is unprofitable for you.
So I'll tell you what, after correcting someone so many times, and you know you don't get an outburst or open rebellion, it makes it more and more difficult to correct you. More and more difficult to spot out, or to at least let you know where you're slipping at. And that's dangerous for you. Because now, they'll see flaws, and out of not wanting to go to war with somebody, they just won't tell you. Now, that's not right either, but we still have to have some type of level of consideration on both sides. I can't look at correction as a negative thing, or correction as a thing to avoid. I gotta look at it as, this is what I want in this truth. I want to be told how much further I can take this, where else I can develop it, where am I missing. That you should want that if you want to get closer to Christ. Keep reading.
Verse 18. Pray for us, for we trust we have a good conscience. In all things, willing to live honestly.
All right, give me verse 21. My fault. Verse 21.
Me?
Yeah, 21 down to 22.
Okay. Verse 21.
Okay.
Make you perfect in every good work to do His will.
Now we're gonna find out a little more what that means in a little bit. But it says our job is to make ourselves perfect or well-rounded in every good work to do His will. Read on.
Working in you that which is well pleasing in His sight.
That means everything that we're going to be doing or striving to do is so that it can be well-pleasing in Christ's sight. Read on.
Through Christ, or through Jesus Christ, Yahushua, to whom be glory forever and ever.
Uh-huh.
And I beseech you, brethren, suffer the word of exhortation.
Read it again.
And I beseech you, brethren, suffer the word of exhortation.
What are we supposed to be doing in this truth when we read these words? What painful sacrifice is the Most High telling us to do? Suffer the word of exhortation. Meaning, my life, I have to labor. I have to keep giving up more and more things that I read in the Bible it tells me to give up. That's what that means. Exhortation is more pressure to motivate you into a course of action. Exhortation is supposed to motivate you to make more spiritual decisions. So as I'm going through life and I'm reading more and more scriptures about what else to cut off and how more chaste and how more disciplined I have to be, I had to start putting those into action if I want to be in accordance with Christ. I can't start picking and choosing how far I want to take this. If you put a block, it'll probably be the second part of the class, but if you put a blockage, a mental blockage of how far you're willing to go for this, you're already in the category of non-believers. If I'm telling myself what I'm not willing to do in Christ, you're already in the category of not-believers before you even done anything wrong. Because who are you to decide how much I want to give or not? We always say, who is somebody else tell me what I can and cannot do? How about who are you to tell you what you can and cannot do in Christ? I can't tell myself I'm limited in this arena. I'll do X, Y, and Z, but this level of sacrifice and this one I'm not willing to let go yet. Or I don't want to let go at all. Or I don't want to do. I don't want to go through. Do you think... No. Did Christ have a choice when the Most High told him you're going to die?
Oh, he did have a choice.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
Well,
He did.
He
No, I
prayed.
didn't.
He prayed.
He said, if you would let this cup pass from me,
mhm.
please let this cup pass from me. If not, that will be done.
Right.
So what did that show you?
He decided, though, not to have a choice, right?
Yes, that is true. He did decide, but his whole life was already like that. He didn't just show up and decide, okay, I'm going to follow Christ this one time, or Most High this one time.
Right.
His whole life was about, I'm going to do what you want me to do. I might not be comfortable doing what you want me to do. He never said I was 100% comfortable with everything the Most High had him do, but it was going to get done regardless. So if I'm in this truth and I'm reading these words, I might not be 100%. I might have fear, but I know that it will be done because I believe in the scriptures.
That means we got to live in a state of discomfort whenever somebody gives you some type of correction or give you some type of advice that help benefit you.
You have to put yourself around people who will put you in uncomfortable situations. Because you're not going to do it yourself. You're not going to put yourself in environments by yourself on your own will and accord that's going to make you uncomfortable. The flesh is naturally going to want to find comfort and escapes.
Yeah.
Whether that be mental escapes or physical escapes. So you need people. That's why he put people around us to force you to live a more disciplined, structured life. Who are also living disciplined and structured lives. So now everybody is pushing everybody to live more disciplined, Christ-like lives.
And that word when it said, and suffer the word, it's not like, oh, I gotta hear him again.
Yeah.
That's not what it means. It means to permit or to allow those words.
Exactly.
So you can listen and hear. You gotta stop, you gotta look, and you gotta listen.
Because that's the sacrifice. That's what it means to be a servant.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to put myself through this sacrifice. This is what Christ wants. That's why I keep saying, Israel, you're my servant. I formed you. Israel, you're my servant. You're created to adjust and conform to how I want you to conform. However that looks. Let that go. Give me 2 Timothy 3 and verse 13. 2 Timothy 3 and verse 13. We're going to go down to verse 17.
2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 13.
Yep.
All right. It says, but evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse.
It says, evil men and seducers in Israel are going to get worse and worse. What makes a man a seducer? Read on.
It says, deceiving.
Because his job is to tell you, you don't have to live this lifestyle. As difficult as you might think or as you're being told to. You don't have to sit here and go as hard for this as your teachers are telling you to. Or as you're reading. That was the old way. That was the old way of doing things. That's not the new way now. You have a lot more leeway now. The Most High understands your heart. He understands you're not as spiritually strong as your forefathers were thousands of years ago. That is a seducer. Read on.
And being deceived.
And then you got the deceivers who take that like, I agree. That sounds good. I also don't think it'd go this hard.
Other than people that say I'm down for whatever.
I'm down for no. I'm not down for it. Actually, I think the less is better. There's a better way. There's a better way. Because now I got reason. I got wisdom. I got wisdom. So there's a better way to do this. Those are the unbelievers that Christ's talking about. Who says, I know who are unbelievers and who are the Judases. I know you guys. Those are the ones that get told, yeah, you don't got to do this hard level of sacrifice and discipline. And they agree. Keep reading.
But continue thou in the things which thou hast
He
learned.
says, you're supposed to continue in what you've learned. Read on.
And hast been assured of.
And know it's been tested and it works.
It's the training.
It's the training, but it's the example that you've seen others do it or others live by. Because I know others have done the same thing and are living the same type of lifestyle. Now it's assured. I know this is right. I know the Most High is backing this. I not only have learned it in the scriptures, I've seen it play in action. So why would I forego that for a lifestyle that doesn't match what I've seen and I've read? There's many camps. There's many ways of doing things. But if that's not what you're reading every day, then why are you choosing that? I'm not hitting on any camp at all. But if you're not living what you're reading, what are you doing? This is when this Luke verse starts getting a little more real. When that follower of Christ asked Christ how to get to the kingdom. That's when that starts getting really real. Keep reading.
It says, knowing of whom thou hast learned them.
Because that's the point. You know who you've learned this information from. You know what type of lifestyle they're living. You know what they've given up to be in alignment with this Christ and this discipline type of lifestyle. Read on.
And that from a child thou hast known the holy scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation through faith, which is in Yahushua.
Read on.
All scripture is given by inspiration of the Most
Now
High.
this goes back into that conversation of, if it's not coming from Christ himself, then I'm not going to follow it. Because what does the Bible say? Read it from the top again.
All scripture is given by inspiration of the Most High.
So if you're being instructed from a biblical perspective that can be proven in the scriptures, then who is it coming from?
The Most High.
It's coming from the Most High. Read on.
It says, and is profitable for doctrine.
And it's to your benefit for doctrine, for belief system. Read on. Foundation. Read.
For reproof.
For correction. For reproof. For redirecting. Read on.
For correction.
Yep.
For instruction in righteousness.
Because that's what we've been trying to do, is figure out how to offer sacrifices of righteousness. So if you want to know what sacrifice of righteousness the Most High is asking for, you have to keep reading and following what the Scriptures telling you to do. Read on.
That the man of the Most High may be perfect.
This is what it means when he said in Hebrews 13 and 21, make ye perfect in every good work to do his will. The more you confine and live after a scripture-based lifestyle, the more quote-unquote perfect you are and the more furnished you'll be in your works.
But what makes perfect? Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
You're right. That's the next verse. Judges 5:11. You're right. You're right on. You're right on.
I was holding off from the Hebrew on that. Wait.
You're perfect. You're right on that. There's no way, bro. Where's Berto at? He found his job. Ain't no way it's 72.
You said Judges, right?
Yeah, Judges 5:11.
Okay, Judges 5 and 11.
God. Judges chapter 5 and verse 11. They that are delivered from the noise of archers in the places of drawing water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Most High.
The Most High is saying, wherever you are, if you've been delivered from destruction, that's pretty much what he's saying. You're supposed to be rehearsing the righteous acts in that place. You're supposed to be practicing and preparing your mind and your spirit for the coming of Christ. Keep reading.
Right. So they that are delivered from the noise of archers in the places of drawing waters, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Most High, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of his villages in Israel.
You're supposed to be rehearsing the righteous acts, the righteous sacrifices for yourself and to the people around you. Why?
Kind.
Oh, no. Yeah, keep reading. Keep reading.
Kind. Then shall the people of the Most High go down to the gates.
Now, give me Luke 18 and verse 18. So our focus is supposed to be preparing ourselves for when Christ adds more responsibility and more restraints on our lifestyle. So that when he adds those restraints and those responsibilities, it's not a surprise anymore. I've already been living my life after a certain way to where anything else you add onto it is just part of my responsibility. It's part of my job. You mean that in Luke 18.
Luke chapter 18, verse 18. And a certain ruler asked him, saying, Good master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?
He said, a certain ruler asked Christ. And mind you, obviously, he got inspired or drawn to Christ ask this question. Something in the spirit said, you're not doing enough. Whatever you're practicing, whatever you're doing, whatever sacrifices you're currently giving up right now, it's not enough. Because if he felt like he was doing enough, he wouldn't have asked Christ this. Keep that in mind. So keep reading.
And Christ said unto him, Why callest thou me good? None is good, save one, that is, the Most High.
Okay.
Verse 20. Thou knowest the commandments.
He says, you know the commandments. You know right and wrong. Obviously, you were trained from your youth up. Read on.
Do not commit adultery. Do not kill. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness. Honor thy father and thy mother. And he said,
hold on. What that means is, well, keep reading.
And he said, All these I have kept from my youth up.
So what he's saying is, at the bare minimum, follow the commandments. Follow, don't kill, commit adultery, don't steal, don't bear false witness, honor thy father and thy mother. I've done all that, Lord. I've been done. I've already been on point with the bare minimum. Read on.
Now when Yahushua heard these things, he said unto him, Yet lackest thou one thing. Sell all that thou hast, and distribute unto the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven. And come, follow me.
Now, this is very important. Because why would... Read that one more time. I want to put this one point out here. Give me
Verse 22. And when Yahushua heard these things, he said unto him, Yet lackest thou one thing. Sell all that thou hast, and distribute unto the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven.
Now, the question would be, he was inspired to ask Christ, what else could he do to get to the kingdom? In his head, what he was doing already would have prepared him for any answer that the Most High might have given him. What the Most High showed him was, obviously it's not the truth. Obviously you weren't doing enough because you weren't prepared to take it as far as you need to take it. If you really want to know the answer. The little he was doing wasn't enough to get in the good grace of the Most High. So now he's got a decision to make. I have my reasoning, which is, that doesn't make any sense to me, Lord. Why do I have to give all of what I have worked for and built up to serve you on a greater capacity when I've already been quote-unquote serving you? I've already been giving you things. I've already been sacrificing you things. What he failed to realize is, as a servant, you can't put a stoppage or a limit to how much you can give. If the master says do more, you need to do more. If you put it in your spirit to ask more questions on how to get to salvation, don't be surprised by the answer you get. Like brothers are surprised when they ask elders, how do I get this understanding? And they're told you need to sit here and study this amount of hours, and you need to sit here and have this many notebooks, and you need to sit here and fast, you need to live a disciplined life, you need to abstain from certain things. Then you're surprised by the answer you got.
Yeah. You gotta stop going out.
You gotta stop going out. You gotta live a very disciplined life. You can't be chasing women. You can't sit here and you gotta cut out certain music you're listening to. You're getting told more and more strict things to do, but that wasn't what you asked for. You just wanted something else you can handle. Give me something I can handle, not something that you want me to do. That's not a servant. A servant does what he's supposed to do. Like give me that in that it was James, right?
James 4:17.
Before that, finish that up.
That was 22. And
Yeah,
come, follow me.
Okay.
Verse 23. And when he heard this, he was very sorrowful, for he was very rich.
Because in his head, that was too much to lose. Now for us, it's not always about money. But I'll tell you what, if Christ was standing in front of you and he told you, give up your house, give up your business, give up your hopes and dreams, whatever aspiration you thought you were going to do, give that up too. And just come walk with me. And we're going to talk the Bible all day. He's showing us a lot of people wouldn't choose that deal. Because we haven't chosen it from the very beginning. Whether Christ is in the air and he was telling us to follow him, we didn't want to follow, or he was in your face, we didn't want to follow.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So it wasn't. Are you saying it wasn't necessarily his riches or why he walked away sorrowful or saddened, but it was more of like his mental, his mind frame on the amount of servitude he was expecting himself to be or doing something?
When I ask a question of what else I have to do to be better, let's say at my job, right? Let's say I asked my boss, how do I get in your good favor, get your good grace? How do I get a promotion? They're gonna tell me, well, you need to perform what you're doing already. You're already doing a good job right now, but if you want to be better and be regarded higher, then you need to start doing extra stuff. Mm-hmm. Now the problem is, if I don't want to do the extra stuff, then I'm not gonna get the promotion. What he's saying is, whatever extra that the rich man or the ruler thought he had to do, it obviously wasn't to that capacity. Meaning in our head, that's the question I'm trying to make. We have a certain level of servitude we're willing to do. But if we're asked to do more, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can give that up. Or I can be that disciplined. Or I can be that rigid. I can do this. And I'm okay with this. But if Christ himself asked you to do this and go further, why are we hesitating?
Now my question is this. Does that go into Matthew 25 about each man carrying their talent and perfecting it? As far as in the Most High giving them a certain type of responsibility to perfect?
Yes and no. Meaning, the Most High obviously gave him enough inspiration and enough godly conscience to follow the laws.
Okay.
That was something, right? It's not like it was nothing.
Yeah.
So obviously he was inspired. He had enough fear to keep the laws of God. But he also gave, because you have that much fear and admiration of the Most High, you start, and maybe this is just me talking. Well, then obviously not. He thought the same thing. You know there's more. Like, you can't just read this Bible every day and just think the law is enough. Or just think following these rules is all there is to it. Because there's so much more to this. What made the greats great? What made the Elijahs of the world great? Or the Isaiahs or the Davids or the Solomons of the world great? What made the Abrahams great? What made the Peters great? What made the Pauls great? What made them surpass just the law followers? What did they do? So now I got to ask myself, we always talk about the different works. There's works of hay, stubble, wood, and then there's gold, silver, and stone. And the question is, am I okay with just wood? Or not wood. It ain't making it. Stone?
Stone, yeah.
And do I know what qualifies me to get to stone level?
Yeah.
You don't even know. So I don't even know what measure I could do, what amount of works I can even do to get to barely slide by. You don't know. That's why Paul said, make your calling and election sure.
Sure, yeah.
Because I can't just settle on the little good that I do. I don't know if that's enough. I don't know if that's enough based off of the level of inspiration I've been given, zeal. I don't know if it's enough based off of the ability I've been given. I don't know if it's enough based off of the sins I've committed. So I don't know what level I can stop at and feel comfortable. That's why for me, my personal opinion, I couldn't just read the Bible and feel like in my own self I'd be safe from destruction. I'm not saying this for everybody. That's only my personal opinion. I knew what type of zeal I was given, what type of examples I was given, what type of mistakes I've made in my life, to not just be like, you know what, reading is just enough. I know that's not going to work. I already know. So now, I have to be real with myself. If that's not enough, then how far I'm willing to take it? And Ecclesiastes 41 and 31 says you can never go far enough. Well, why did he say that? If this is an endless battle, and it doesn't stop until Christ literally comes on earth or you're dead, then I have to keep pushing myself further and further and further in a rigid, strict lifestyle. Which means it doesn't stop.
The grind doesn't stop.
The grind doesn't stop. Someone raised their hand. I don't know who it was. What you got?
No, it's just that part of that when it says the Most High draws you out, it also gets to a point where it's like, me personally, I'm trying to, you get verses, okay, cool, but then there's something that you fill in, you're like, gotta do a little more. This isn't enough. I got these breakdowns, this information sounds awesome, but I still feel like there's a missing piece. I'm missing something. I'm empty right now. There's a little void. This is cool, this is cool, this is cool, but inside, in your heart of hearts, you feel, I'm incomplete somewhere, and I know there's something I should be doing. I just don't know what it is.
And I'm going to say this. I'm not the judge to tell people how far they should take this work. That's between them and them. All I'm saying is if you don't know, then why would I limit myself in anything? If I don't know what it's going to take to be considered righteous in the Most High's eyes, then I'm just going to take everything the Word says and apply it to my life. That's what the Most High says. What's perfect is I take the Word and allow it to reprove me, correct me, and inspire me to do more. And however that looks, however that shakes out, that's how it shakes out. But I can't tell myself, I couldn't be like that, brother. I couldn't be like that servant. I couldn't be like Paul. I couldn't do what Paul did. I couldn't do what Peter did.
You already limiting yourself.
But the jacked up part is, maybe that was what you're supposed to do. And then now you've just cut off your salvation. You tell yourself, I ain't doing that. I ain't going that far. That's the scary part for me. Where were we at? We were at
Luke chapter 18.
yeah. Give me that James 4:17.
James chapter 4, verse 17.
Because he went away sad. Because he was very rich. But it wasn't just the riches. That was just his stopgap. That's what he knew he couldn't give up. Some people know in the back of their mind, if I had to give my car up, sheesh, I don't know about this.
Did that?
if I got to risk this house, I don't know, dog. If I got to risk my free time, if I got to risk my city, I got to leave my city for this.
There's stability, so to speak.
My stability,
Comfort.
my comfort. I got to risk my family for this.
What's familiar to
But what did Christ say? If you don't love me more than mother, father, son, daughter, wife, even your own life, or husband, even your own life, you can't be his disciple. And the priority has to be the Most High. Everybody else second. Anyway, read that. James 4:17.
James chapter 4, verse 17. Therefore to him that knoweth to do good, and doeth it not, to him it is sin.
And that's the point. The inspiration is you read the Bible and you agree with it, and you still don't want to do it. Now you're being counted as a sinner.
So you're saying you was in sin and you walked away.
That's the point. You're sinning now because you know you were told by Christ to your face what you got to do to make the kingdom. You said no, pretty much. Lie. We do it all the time. I read, I got to communicate. I got to lock in, I got to obey and be a servant. But lie. I read, I got to throw my life away. I got to throw my desires away. I got to throw my favorite foods away that were unlawful. I got to throw away my hopes and dreams that don't align with the Most High's hopes and dreams. I got to throw away my bad habits, my vices away. Hobbies that distract me from the Lord. There's a lot of things you got to give up.
What means the world to you?
Bro, it can be anything. I have to throw all that away because Christ said so. Lava said
When he said, all these have followed from my youth up, he's saying, I'm a good person.
That's the point. He said, look, I've done my job. I did what the Torah said. Well, if you really thought in your heart of hearts is all you need to do, then you wouldn't be here right now.
In that environment that he's trying to create for you, with all the things that he's taken from you, he's trying to create an environment of discipline to mold you to be a proper servant for him.
Taking away those distractions.
Because he's trying to make you like him. Because what's the end goal? When he says we're going to be made like Christ in Revelations, what does that mean? everything we're doing is to shape us after the lifestyle in which Christ lived. It might not be as extreme for some of us. Some of us might not have to be martyred. Some of us can sit here and maybe survive and live to old age. Some of us might have to be martyred. Some of us might have a little easier time. A little bit. But who knows? The Most High also actually proved that. Give me Romans 12. Romans 12 and verse 3.
Talking about
I'm just talking about. I ain't talking about
no, that verse. I quoted that verse I think a little bit earlier ago, where it talks about for your services. It's the least of your service or reasonable.
That's one, but no.
Okay.
It's verse 3 because I wanted to bring a point out about how not everybody's servitude looks exactly the same, and that's important to point out too. But just read it. Just read it. We'll explain. Read it.
God. Romans chapter 12 verse 3. For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly.
Your job is not to be proud. So first things first, the Most High is going to take things away from you that give you a sense of pride. All right. So for that guy, that ruler, it was his money. He couldn't get that up. That was too much for him. Read on.
God. According as the Most High have dealt to every man the measure of faith.
Because everybody's measure of faith or inspiration is different. There's no doubt about that. This is where you'll have a Paul type character versus, let's say, even I'm not gonna go into it. Everyone has different qualities, right? Everyone's given different responsibilities. Paul was given to see here a little harder task to teach the Gentiles, while Peter had to teach the stubborn Israelites in Jerusalem. Doesn't mean Peter's job was easy or Peter's job didn't matter. It was just a different task based off of their level of faith and level of understanding. But whatever your task is and whatever you're inspired to do based off what you read, are you holding yourself back out of fear? Are you restraining yourself from making that decision or making those changes or accepting whatever future the Most High is telling you to accept out of fear and hesitation? That's the question we got to ask ourselves and be real with. Everybody knows what we're holding back. Everybody knows what we're not 100% willing to do for Christ's sake. And this isn't like, it's not hard to tell. You know how it's not hard to tell? Because we have our bursts of rebellion whenever we don't agree with something. The burst of rebellion shows us what limits we put on ourselves. We can't even just follow instructions all the way without catching attitudes, without being frustrated, without doubting where it's coming from. That lets us know right now where we're at. We're talking about throwing lives away and going 100% into this and making your whole life about faith. But we can't follow instructions. There you go. Give me John 6 and verse 65 again. St. John 6:65 through 67.
St. John chapter 6, 65.
Whenever you're ready.
Yep.
St. John chapter 6, verse 65. And he said, Therefore said I unto you, that no man can come unto me, except it were given unto him of my Father.
Yep. Read on.
From that time, many of his disciples went back, and walked no more with him.
Why? Why? Because now I realize what it means to be a servant and what I'm potentially putting on the line for this. This is why a lot of people won't make it in the end. So a lot of people won't make it while Earth is still okay. Because what I have to lose or potentially lose is what fears me or drives me away from this.
So there wasn't only just 12 disciples.
No, there was hundreds, bro. There was hundreds. Yes.
What would you say is like the best way to get past that fear?
That's part two. That's part two. But I'll give a short answer to that. To get past the fear, how would I describe that? First and foremost, I have to be willing to put myself in a situation where it's not comfortable. For instance, where the disciples, when the disciples asked Christ, or Christ asked the disciples, what did Elias look like? Describe Elias. Elias was Elijah. Or Elias was John. No. described John the Baptist, who was Elias. All right. He said, "We saw John in an animal coat." I forgot the exact
Camel.
word.
Camel.
He was in a camel coat. Now, what that represented was the camel coat is very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's very hard. It rubs your skin raw. So what it's showing is not only was John the Baptist the guy who was eating flowers and
Locusts.
in the woods, everything about him was a chafe, hardcore, rigid life. Now, no one is saying to do that, but I will say there's no limit to how far you can take this, how disciplined you want to make your life. If you want to make your life really uncomfortable, start fasting more. You want to make your life really uncomfortable? Start praying more. Start reading more. Start cutting out more and more likes of yours. Start deleting the fun things that distract you when you don't want to think anymore. When you don't work anymore. These are how you start preparing yourself for the greater challenges and the greater battles. If I'm not constantly putting myself around an environment, and that's on top of allowing myself to be corrected, calling the right people that I know is going to give me the hard answers. Like I know who to call, who's going to give me the answer I don't want to hear, that I might think is extreme. But I know if I call them, it's probably what I need to do anyway. Do I know those people? Do I choose to counsel with those people? Or do I counsel ones that give me a little easier answer?
And that's what I was going to say. And all those things that Lasha is saying to cut away, I guarantee you there's somebody in this camp that's doing one thing or the other. You pull from this person, you pull from that person, whether it be the elder brother, like the elder brothers or Shamshuan Dawiyat, or the elder sisters. Somebody's doing at least one of those things that you're wanting to cut, that you need to cut away.
Because that fear, that hesitation, the only way to get through it is to throw yourself into it. Throw yourself into an environment that is not comfortable. Into a situation where you don't want to be in it. Where your flesh is saying, get out. That's why even Esau understands this. When you go to military training, I think it was the Navy SEALs. The Navy SEALs tie your hands up, back of your hands, and your legs, and they throw you in the water. And you have to stay in the water until you pass out.
Yep.
Then you pass out, they rescue you, they resuscitate you, and then throw you back in the water again.
You die.
Because your job is to no longer be afraid of water. So if you don't be afraid of water no more, I'm going to keep drowning you until it doesn't matter anymore. Whether you're conscious or not, you're semi-conscious or not, it don't matter. I'm going to be in this water.
I think some of those men that went through that process too, they some of them passed away. They've been like reports of
I don't know.
Some people passing away.
It's cold though.
I don't know if they passed away or not.
Drowning and stuff.
But I do know they said do it. So it must not have been too many deaths.
That wasn't warm.
Yeah, it's not too many
The
deaths,
losses have been too heavy.
but people do tend to.
But you know, a lot of times people don't just pass out because the environment is hard. They pass out from the stress of the environment. The fact that there's no escape from the environment. So the stress alone, as a way for the body to cope, the body will shut down because the brain can't handle that stress. We're not saying jump in the water with your hands tied, but in a biblical sense, can I put myself in an environment where I know this is not comfortable? But this is what the truth is about. It starts with just coming to class more than twice a week. But as you keep growing, keep learning, you're going to realize this can't be enough. Because it's too easy to just float or coast after a certain point.
Yeah.
Even as a teacher, it's really easy, once you have a certain level of understanding, to just coast. It's very easy. If you don't keep pushing yourself, you'll look up, years go by, you're not growing. The outside might not know, but you know. And if you know, that's the problem. If you know you're not pushing, and you know you've let things slide by, now you're on the hook with the Most High. And that's the scary part. That means you have to be constantly aware of where you're at and how far you can keep pushing, keep going.
Yeah.
And allow yourself to, and ask questions. You know what? Hey, like I know I always do with Shashwan, like, hey brother, I've been doing X, Y, and Z. What else can I do? Like how else can I keep progressing? So I already know my tendency. I was an AB student for a reason. It wasn't that I was smart. I just figured out the system. You study this amount of time, and you'll get decent grades on your homework, and you just go hard, go ham for the test, get a great grade in the test, and you just float. You're just floating. Quizzes, 70s. As long as you get an A on the test, it don't matter. You get 70s on the quizzes, it's cool. You know the system. It ain't different than the truth. You can figure the system out, float, and just slide by.
Yeah.
But that's called pining away.
Yeah.
If you're not growing, you're declining.
Also too, your battles changes and the intensity of it changes.
Come on.
So it doesn't stay. You just because you've adapted to that one method doesn't mean it's not going to turn up.
Well, the battles get harder because you haven't been preparing your spirit for the next battle.
Exactly.
And that's the point. The point is the Most High is creating more pressure to force you into more servitude. But if you're not constantly accepting what you already got in front of you and accepting I have to grow in these circumstances, when the Most High puts more and more on your plate, more and more commitment to Him on your plate, we can't handle it.
Yeah.
And then we'll be like the ruler who goes away sad. Now read that verse 66.
St. John, chapter 6, verse 66.
My fault.
It says, for that time, many of his disciples went back and walked no more with him.
Come.
Then said Yahushua unto the 12, will ye also go away?
And that's the point.
That wasn't a question.
So now that you know what's in front of you, y'all going too? Now you know this life is about losing more and making more and more painful sacrifices that you're not going to agree with. That's going to go completely contrary to your reasoning. Are you out of here too? A lot of people say yes. And the problem is, what makes the Most High angry, it's not that this lifestyle is so difficult that nobody else has done it. We had like no one else in the world in history has ever been so disciplined and structured and ordered in their life. We're the first to try this. Give me that Jeremiah 35:1 now. Because this is what he tried to show us back in the day. Since y'all are complaining on just serving me, this is a known and common thing amongst the Gentiles. The Gentiles do this.
So,
Let that go.
I remember also too in Rome where in Romans where Jesus got hit up by that cat, and he was talking about the structure of his camp and stuff like that, and that he was basically what he was saying is he will show humility.
Find the verse, and we'll pull up to this one.
All right.
I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
Read that, Jeremiah 35:1.
Jeremiah chapter 35 and verse 1. The word which came unto Jeremiah from the Most High in the days of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, saying, go into the house of the Rechabites and speak unto them and bring them into the house of the Most High.
Now, just for reference, the Rechabites are descendants from Moses' father-in-law. Moses' father-in-law and his son made a specific oath, and we'll get into that in a second, that these Rechabites, as long as they followed this oath, the Most High will protect them on the outskirts of the city, not on the inskirts. So they couldn't live inside the city. The only reason they're in the city right now is because, if I'm not mistaken, there was it's either a famine or a war. I think they were surrounded. There was an army surrounding them. But keep reading.
God.
There was an army.
Verse 2. Go into the house of the Rechabites and speak unto them and bring them into the house of the Most High, into one of the chambers, and give them wine to drink. Then I took Jazaniah, the son of Jeremiah, the son of Habazaniah, and his brethren, and all his sons, and the whole house of the Rechabites.
Okay.
And I brought them into the house of the Most High, into the chamber of the sons of Hanan, the son of Igladaiah, a man of the Most High, which was by the chamber of the princes, which was above the chamber of Messiah, the son of Shalom, the keeper of the door.
Okay. So all that happened is Jeremiah got these Rechabites, brought their whole family in, and brought them into the church, brought them into the sanctuary. Read on.
And I set before the sons of the house of the Rechabites pots full of wine and cups, and I said unto them, drink ye wine.
Now look at their response and their reasoning for why they chose not to drink the wine. Read on.
Verse 6. But they said, we will drink no wine, for Jonadab, the son of Rechab, our father, commanded us, saying, ye shall drink no wine, neither ye nor your sons forever.
So during the time of Moses, this is Jeremiah. This is the turn time of Josiah. So I would say it's about Josiah was the southern kingdom. This is after the fall. It's about 500 years afterwards. It's about 500 years afterwards before the southern kingdom fell. And they're still keeping a 500-year-old oath. Now the oath doesn't just stop with some wine. Maybe some of us can do that. Maybe some of us, if we were told we have a 500-year-old tradition to not drink wine and will be deemed honorable, we'd follow that. But what else were they told they couldn't do? Read on.
Verse 7. Neither shall ye build a house.
You can't build a house. Your entire family line can never build a house. You can't drink no wine. You're going to be in these elements forever. It's going to be cold. You're just going to be cold then. It's going to be hot. You're just going to be sweating. Read on.
Neither shall ye build house, nor sow seed, nor plant vineyard.
You can't grow your own crops or grow vineyards, which means you ain't making no money. You're not making no money. You ain't building no houses. And you ain't drinking no drink. Read on.
Nor have any, but all your days ye shall dwell in tents.
You're going to be in these tents for life. Your whole generation will be in these tents. Now, the question I have is, if the Most High told us to do this, will we be gung-ho to follow this oath? No. But did he ask us to do this extreme stuff? No. But they followed it. These nations who were not created to be better servants than us are better servants than us. Keep reading.
That ye may live many days in the land where ye be strangers.
How about, and you're doing all the sacrifices just to be a stranger forever. You're not even getting the notoriety and respect as an actual citizen. So I'm doing all this work, and I'm getting no reward from it, other than the fact that I'll be protected. Well, we were given rules and conditions to follow, and there was benefits on earth that if we followed them, we would be protected. One family line decided to follow, and they were protected. The other family line, who was the chosen family line, said, no, I don't want to follow those rules. This is what ticked the Most High off. Because we were supposed to be better. We have a greater father than Jonadab. What his name is? Jonadab. But that father got respect. That father got honor. We didn't even follow Abraham or Isaac or Jacob. Keep reading.
It says, thus have we obeyed the voice of Jonadab, the son of Rechab, our father, in all that he hath charged us, to drink no wine all our days. We, our wives, our sons, nor our daughters.
I mean, this is a family affair. Nobody gets to sit here and break these rules. Not the wives, not the sons or the daughters. Not just the men got to sit here and be disciplined in this life. It was everybody. Read on.
Nor to build houses for us to dwell in. Neither have we vineyard, nor field, nor seed. But we have dwelt in tents, and have obeyed and done according to all that Jonadab, our father, commanded us. But it came to pass when Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came unto the land, that we said, come and let us go to Jerusalem for fear of the army of the Chaldeans, and for fear of the army of the Syrians. So we dwell at Jerusalem.
So that was the only reason why they broke their other rule, which is you got to dwell in tents. Is because there was an army that was pressing on Israel. Mind you, look how crazy this is. I have to sit here and be super disciplined to be a stranger of a nation that's supposed to be protected by the Most High. But because they messed up, I got to suffer with them. I did my job. I kept my oath. But the chosen people couldn't even keep their oath. Couldn't keep their side of the deal. That was the foolishness of our people. That's what didn't make any sense. Keep reading.
It says, verse 12. It says, then came the word of the Most High to Jeremiah, saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the power of Israel, go and tell the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, will ye not receive instruction to hearken to my words, saith the Most High?
This is the point. Why can these individuals follow the words for hundreds and hundreds of years, and you can't follow your God?
That's embarrassing, bro.
That's the point. Who's the better being?
They're almost like
They outworked it. They outworked them.
I know, and they were the best example right outside the city of what to do, and we weren't following those guys. What also shows is we never had an excuse of locking in because the Most High put nations outside of us who stayed on point.
They knew why they were protected, but they never knew the ins and outs. We do.
We know the ins and outs. They just knew if I follow our side of the deal, the Lord will protect us along with Israel. That's all they knew. So we can't drink and can't build no houses and don't have no money. We're just gonna be broke, and at least we can pick out the fruit of Israelites.
Yeah.
That's how they were living. That's why there was laws created for the Gentiles. Take care of guys like these. Leave a portion of your crops for them, because that's all they're gonna be able to do to survive. They locked in. They followed. Read on.
Okay. Verse 14. The words of Jonadab, the son of Rechab, that he commanded his sons not to drink wine, are performed. For unto this day they drink none,
Bro.
but obey their father's commandment.
That's what I'm saying. You read?
Okay. But obey their father's commandment. Notwithstanding, I have spoken unto you, rising early and speaking, but ye hearken not unto me.
Bro. Read on. It gets even more specific. Not just me speaking in your ears, Israel. Read on.
Verse 15. I have said also unto you, all my servants, the prophets.
I've sent you people who've given their life up to this all the way, and you don't listen to them either. Read on.
Rising up early and sending them, saying, return ye now, every man from his evil way, and amend your doings, and go not after other gods to serve them. And ye shall dwell in the land which I have given to you and to your fathers.
Meaning, I gave you the terms and conditions first. You didn't follow them. Then I came and sent more people to remind you what those terms, just in case you forgot. I'm going to remind you again what the terms and conditions were. So you don't have to get taken out of your land, out of your power.
And what is that rising up early? They're telling you all day.
All day long. It's the first thing you be hearing.
And that's him showing his mercy, because he could have sat back here and been like, you know what? I'm going to just hit them up because they didn't listen the first time.
How about the Rechabites would have been better servants?
Yeah.
That's the sad part. The Rechabites would have been better servants of God. But he didn't choose them. Remember Christ said, I can have rocks serve me. I need stones serve me. They're better servants than me. Than y'all are. That is the embarrassing part. We get all the reminders in the world. We get the manuscript. We get it in pretty letters and books. We got it highlighted and marked up and taught 4 times a week. I don't want to listen. I don't fully agree. But we want all the benefits that come with serving God. I want all the protection.
Yeah.
But I'm not even as disciplined as these Rechabites, as these nations. You reading?
Verse 15. It says, I have said also unto you, all my servants, the prophets, rising up early and sending them, saying, return ye now, every man from his evil way, and amend your doings, and go not after other gods to serve them. And ye shall dwell in the land which I have given to you and to your fathers. But ye have not inclined your ear, nor hearkened unto me.
Keep reading. We're on 19.
Verse 16?
We're on 19, yes. Keep reading.
Because the sons of Jonadab, the son of Rechab, have performed the commandment of their father, which he commanded them, but this people have not hearkened unto me. Therefore, thus saith the Most High, power of hosts, the power of Israel, behold, I will bring upon Judah and upon all the inhabitants of Jerusalem all the evil that I have pronounced against them, because I have spoken unto them but they have not heard. And I have called unto them, but they have not answered.
You know what? Now it's justified. Because why do these nations serve their power, serve their father, better than we serve ours? They got more discipline, more sacrifice, and more love for their BS gods and their weird, strange customs than we do. So now it's justified because you can't say it can't be done. If you didn't believe the prophets, you didn't believe the men that gave their life to this and died for this, fine. Then believe that nations still do this to this day. And still live a very strict and disciplined life in the name of their customs, in the name of their gods. But we can't do it? We find it strange and out of order? That's what ticks the Most High off the most. Because we're supposed to be created better, above. Deuteronomy 4. We have all those great verses, and we don't do anything to prove it. Keep reading. We're supposed to be set apart. Keep reading.
Verse 18. And Jeremiah said unto the house of the Rechabites, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the power of Israel, because ye have obeyed the commandment of Jonadab your father, and kept all his precepts, and done according unto all that he hath commanded you.
That's crazy, bro.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the power of Israel, Jonadab, the son of Rechab, shall not want a man to stand before me forever.
You know what's crazy? This made me realize why some of these nations who serve their powers don't get hit for such a long time. The Most High just gave us a curse for not locking in and bless Rechabites or the Rechabites forever. That you will never want anything in your life. And we wonder why some of these nations who are disciplined to their idols get spared a lot longer. Because the Most High cares about respect. If you don't respect Him, then I'm not going to bless you for nothing. And I'm gonna make you lust to jealousy again. So I'm going to bless these weaker powers and these weaker religions and not you. Because at the very least, they'll sit here and throw their life away for 4 or 5 years and go on these mission trips and go out to these strange countries and go teach for 5 years, no phone or nothing. They'll do that. Don't ask Israel. No. We're not going nowhere. It's not where I want to go. For half a year.
That's wild.
They'll sit here and throw everything away for their belief system. But we find it strange. That's what gets under the Most High's skin. Pull your verse. After he pulls his verse, get Matthew 12 and 41. Be right back.
Oh, your verse out up?
God. Matthew chapter 8 and verse 5 through 10.
Matthew chapter 8, verse 5.
God. Hold on. Okay. My fault. Hold on just a sec. I'm trying to put this on.
Waiting on the verse, sir.
I'm putting it in on the yeah. My fault now. Alright. Read that.
Matthew chapter 8, verse 5. And when Yahushua was entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion, beseeching him.
Right, so basically this was a centurion. Now, it doesn't state that if this was an Israelite or not. Continue reading.
Verse 6. And saying, Lord, my servant lieth at home, sick of the palsy, grievously tormented. And Yahushua said unto him, I will come and heal him.
Right, so basically the centurion stated that his servants was sick with the palsy. Continue reading.
Verse 8. The centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed.
Read that again.
Matthew,
speak.
got you. Matthew 8:8. It says, the centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed.
Right. So what we saying was that when he says to speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed, he was dependent on Christ's word to sit back here to heal his servant.
Because he had more faith in the fact that all I need is your confirmation. All I need you to tell me, if you say it's going to be okay, I'll believe you. I don't need extra proof. I don't need extra validation. I don't need extra counsel. I just believe what you're saying is coming from the Heavenly Father. That's what it is. I don't need to know. I need a fact check, so to speak.
He didn't need no miracles.
No.
Or it's like,
He believed the miracle was going to happen without having all these extra validations. Keep reading.
Verse 9. For I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me. And I say to this man, go, and he goeth. And to another, come, and he cometh. And to my servant, do this, and he doeth it. When Yahushua heard it, he marveled, and said unto them that followed, verily, I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel.
Right. So his point was, this centurion had more faith than in Christ's word and demand versus Israel. Because a lot of times we have this doubt and perception of following these orders, following different commands that we get, and we doubt it.
Well, I like the part where he was mentioning the men under me. When I say go, they go. Because the nations believe more in their carnal cause and will put their feelings aside. When you're in the military, you don't have an opinion in the military.
Right.
What's said is what it is. If you're told to drop and do push-ups, you're going to drop and do push-ups. If you're told to run a mile, you're going to run a mile. If you're told to strip down and jump in a freezing cold lake, you're going to strip down and jump in a freezing cold lake. Yeah. And if you don't want to, then get out of here. Because no one's forcing you to do it. Well, no one's forcing us to be in here either. But the problem is, we're told to do X, Y, and Z, and I don't want to lock into that.
Right.
But I put myself in an environment which is all about being a servant. Which is why, as Christ said, I have not seen no great servitude like that in Israel. My people don't do that. They don't do that. They don't lock in. They don't know what that is. And that's why he was so frustrated. Give me that in Matthew 10 or 12 and verse 41. Because you have these nations who understand what it means to lock in and follow orders when they're told. They'll get threatened and they'll make the change. Yeah. We get threatened and we laugh at God. I dare you. Do your worst, Lord. I'm not locking it. Matthew 12 and verse 41.
Matthew chapter 12, verse 41.
I'm not getting all this.
It says, the men of Nineveh shall rise in judgment with this generation, and shall condemn it, because they repented at the preaching of Jonah.
It says the men of Nineveh. If y'all remember the story of Nineveh.
Jonah.
Huh?
Sorry, Jonah.
Yeah, the men of Nineveh, right?
Yeah, Jonah went to Nineveh to talk.
Yeah, so the men of Nineveh were warned by Jonah. They said, if you don't change, the Most High is going to blow this place up. I think it was like in 40 days, something like that.
Yeah.
You had a short time period to change your entire life, or your entire being is going to be erased. Right. And they changed immediately. Now, Jonah was mad.
Yeah.
Because he told Jonah, tell them anywhere, but I'm still going to kill him. So he had a kind of expectation like, look, Lord, I'm not really buying what you're saying. If you're going to take him out, just take him out. Why am I had to go out here and warn him? So the whole conflict was Jonah not wanting to lock in.
Yep.
Not wanting to do what he's supposed to do. And these nations lock in once they got told to change.
He didn't want to be inconvenienced.
He didn't want to be a servant.
Yeah.
Like Israel, I don't want to be a servant, Lord. But I ain't going to tell you these nations to lock in to serve God or they're going to die. But he didn't want to do that either. So Nineveh says they will rise up and condemn us. Read it from the top again.
Come. Matthew chapter 12 and 41. The men of Nineveh shall rise in judgment with this generation, and shall condemn it, because they repented at the preaching of Jonas. And behold, a greater than Jonas is here.
But because that's the point. They're going to judge us and laugh at us. Because they're like, we changed when Jonas, the guy who was a half servant, came and checked us. We took God serious. When Jonas came and served and checked us, but when God gave you a book to how to follow him and how to avoid punishment, you don't want to serve it. That doesn't make any sense. What you got?
Or even they followed Jonas, the servant of Christ. We had Christ in our face every day. We would see Christ in the city.
Huh? That too. That's even worse. That's even worse.
That's
You're trying to kill the messenger.
literally.
We try to change our life around.
We just wanted fish and bread.
At this time, we just want to just do our own thing. We want to do our own thing and do our commandments because we didn't want to push past the commandments. We didn't want to push past what we were comfortable doing. I'm okay with this level of servitude, but I'm not okay with anything else. So we're not going to get through this whole class, but I will do this last verse. Ecclesiastes 27:5. We might finish it. We might not. I don't know.
Ecclesiastes.
Actually, we'll do two more verses.
Okay.
Ecclesiastes 27 and verse 5. And then we'll jump to Isaiah 33 and verse 14.
Verse 5.
Okay.
Ecclesiastes
Chapter 27 and verse 5. Page 86.
Yeah.
Okay. The furnace proveth the potter's vessel.
The pressure that's created. Where does the pressure come from? Now we've gone through all this sequence of understanding. Where does the pressure come from? Anybody got an idea? Yes, but more specific. Where does it come from?
Comes from being uncomfortable and pushing past the truth.
That's the result of the pressure. What you got?
Is it the circumstances and then your reasoning that's making you choose? You're fighting your reasoning versus what you're supposed to be doing based on the circumstances you're in.
Yes. Remember, Hebrews 13. It was Hebrews 13, and I think it was 21. It said, suffer the word of exhortation. So where does the pressure come from? The pressure comes from what you're reading every day. It's forcing you to do more and more. It's forcing your moral capacities, like the definition says. It is that which urges or compels the intellectual and moral faculties, as the pressure of motives on the mind or a fear of conscience. The more you read, your fear grows up. Your fear develops. The more you read, the pressure and the motivation to keep changing keeps pushing you forward. You're already inspired to be here in the first place. But now that you're reading and learning, now you're realizing, man, I got to do more and more and more. I got to keep growing. I got to keep serving. I got to keep losing more things to get the Most High's acknowledgement. So read that in verse 5 again.
All right. Ecclesiastes chapter 27 and verse 5. The furnace proveth the potter's vessel.
The furnace, or the intensity of how well you follow these scriptures, shows what type of vessel you are. It shows what mentality or what spirit you choose to entertain more. What does that mean? Read on.
Right. So the trial of man is in his reasoning.
Because what makes this life hard is your reasoning. Am I choosing the Christ reasoning that I'm being developed and I'm reading every day? That's telling me to lose more, live a more strict and rigorous life, live a more difficult life, tell me to sacrifice more and more? Or am I going to choose what makes sense in my head, which has historically proven to not work? But because I know it doesn't work, now I have a battle. Now this life is more difficult than it has to be. Because I'm constantly fighting myself. I'm fighting the pride of wanting to live after what I want to do. But understanding that I got to do more. Because Christ is compelling me to do more. This is where the battle lies. Now, just to cap it off, I know we missed a lot of verses, but give me Isaiah 33 and verse 14.
Isaiah chapter 33, verse 14.
Yeah, I missed a lot of verses.
Whenever you're ready, sir.
Yeah.
Isaiah chapter 33, verse 14. The sinners in Zion are afraid.
It says the sinners in Zion are afraid. Why are they sinners and why are they sinners? That James 4 and verse 17 again says, them that know to do good and doeth not, to them is counted as sin. You know what you have to do. You know how far you have to keep growing. And if you choose not to, it's because you're afraid. Therefore, you're a sinner. Shit. Therefore, you're a sinner. Read on.
Fearfulness hath surprised the hypocrite.
And you're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite because by definition, hypocrite means a play actor. You're a play Israelite. We're play Israelites when we know what to do and we choose to put a stopgap on how far we grow. We're play Israelites when I'm telling myself this is too much. But I told myself I'm an Israelite who God said Israelites are what? Servants.
So,
And a servant's life is about making painful sacrifices to appease the wants of others. I'm a servant, but I don't want to serve. Therefore, you're a hypocrite. So now you have a question. Now you have a decision to make. Keep reading.
it says, "Who among us shall dwell with the devouring fire?"
Who's going to dwell with the devouring fire, being Christ? It says the Most High is a consuming fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to dwell with the consuming fire? Who's going to want more and more of you? More and more service of you? Or, read on.
"Who among us shall dwell with everlasting burnings?"
Or you choose not to follow Christ, and you get everlasting burnings. The choice goes back to you. It goes back to choosing this day of life or death. Choose this day of service, which is life, or death, which is vanity and eternal burnings. And with that, that'll conclude the class. The water y'all for tuning in tonight. We will be here tomorrow for Shabbat, and we'll see you then. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat.